Christie may have been relegated to this week's undercard debate, but he still has very strong views about the media and everything else. Here's our conversation in the Milwaukee Theater. Mr. Christie, welcome.
Thank you.
You haven't complained about your media treatment or the debate rules. I know you're a shy and retiring guy. Do you think some of your rivals are a little too whiny on some of this about how they're being covered?
Well, listen, I just don't think that's the way you win the presidency. I don't think you complain and moan about the rules. We all have to live by these rules, and I'm going to just go out there and do the very best I can and talk about the issues.
What about media scrutiny?
Media scrutiny.
Donald Trump has complained. Ben Carson has complained.
Yeah, well, they're new to this. Both of them. I've been through two very tough campaigns in New Jersey. I've been an integral part of Mitt Romney's campaign for president in 2012 and was his keynote speaker. I've seen the scrutiny before myself and on others that I've been close to. This is what it's like to run for president of the United States, and it's time to buck up and deal with it.
You got an amazing reaction to that speech about drug addiction in New Hampshire, talking about your law school friend who had that long descent and then died. You knew there was a Huffington Post camera there. Did you envision that this was something that would go national, not to mention go viral?
No, I really didn't. Listen, that's a fairly regular part of my town hall discussion when the issue of addiction comes up. And so, no, I didn't anticipate it at all, but I'm really gratified by the fact that people are really plugging into this issue because it's a huge issue for our country. This can happen to any family.
I know you don't subscribe to the New York Times, but its editorial page says you should quit the presidential race. You're running a vanity campaign. And there was a Quinnipiac poll saying you're at 8% or fourth place in your home state of New Jersey. Does either of these two things concern you?
No, in fact, the New York Times is a badge of honor. They've never been for me. They never will be for me because I don't carry their liberal banner into national politics. And as for everything else, my view is when the New Jersey primary comes in June, I'll win it.
We heard it here. It's on videotape. You were once the media's favorite Republican. Back in 2012, you got a lot of positive press. You were the blunt-spoken, tough-talking governor. Then, of course, came the George Washington Bridge mess. And were you surprised at how harshly much of the media turned on you?
Well, what I was surprised about was how quick to judgment they were. And as it's turned out, everything that I said the day after that incident, after 3 different investigations, it turned out to be absolutely true. And the media who were attacking me and convicting me of something awful turned out to be wrong. But I haven't gotten the letter of apology yet. But you're not going to get one. That's the way this business works. And so,
does this include an organization whose initials are MSNBC?
Yes, it would, and the New York Times and lots of others. But it's like the first question, Howie, that we talked about. People don't vote for someone for president of the United States who kicks dirt at the umpire and who's moaning and complaining. What they want is someone who's going to talk about the things they're concerned about and is going to put forward solutions to help to fix their problems and to help make their lives a little bit better. And that's what I'm going to do running for president. I'm not going to worry about this other stuff.
Just to clarify, you're not saying that the Bridge scandal was not a legitimate story to cover. I mean, after all, 3 of your associates ended up indicted.
No, the rush to judgment. The rush to judgment was. And the intensity of the coverage. Remember something, and one of the media organizations put this out, there were 30 to 40 times more airtime spent on that than there was on the IRS scandal. I think they have an agenda. I know they have an agenda. And I was, at that time, just reelected as the governor of a blue state. So the media had their agenda. They pursued it. But here's the bad news for them. Here I am. Running for president, and I'm going to win the Republican nomination for president.
So why do you think there's so much emphasis this year, this cycle, on people who have never held public office, people who have never been part of the political game, and the people who are senators and governors? It's almost like their experience makes them, quote, insiders.
Well, I think it's an anger and a frustration towards Washington, D.C. I mean, let's face it, especially among Republican voters. We gave our party the House in 2010. It made no difference. Then they asked for the Senate in 2014. And it made no difference so far. The fact is, our voters are very angry and very frustrated with the Washington, D.C. culture. The good news for them is that I'm no part of the Washington, D.C. culture. Never been down there as an office holder.
You visited.
I visited. That's about it. I've been to the Lincoln Memorial. But the fact is that they want someone who not only is not going to be part of that Washington culture, but also someone who has a record of getting things done. And I think in the end, when people start to vote on this, they're going to be looking at the nation's governors as an example.
Governor Christie, thanks very much for joining us.
Great to see you.